So if you haven't guessed it yet, we're obviously looking at the longbows that have got mastery, and thought we'd do a little bit of testing, see how they're getting on, see if it's even worth getting these guys masteried. Of course, longbows very much anti-range, even though they don't always get used like that, and they won't be used like that in the coming video, just because I wanted to find engagements where we can obviously see the effects of their mastery go off, or at least attempt to. So these are my longbows. Vectory line wise, we've gone top row, 40% damage to range. Of course, being an anti-range, I wanted to be able to kill range as quickly as possible. So yeah, we go top line with that, and then everything else is just sort of ammunition or extra maximum range, piercing, that sort of thing. So top line, and then doctrine wise, we've got a increased ammunition by 60% and some extra piercing penetration. We got rain of arrows 5 that gives us some basically really fast rate of fire, and gives us an extra 150 piercing points, piercing damage, another 100 piercing damage here, another 120 piercing damage, 80 piercing penetration, and 9 rate of fire. So really nice doctrine there actually, and then extra 9 meters of range and another 6 rate of fire. So that is our doctrines, really beefed up. And then if we're looking at the mastery, basic effects is just some more piercing damage, some more piercing pen, bit of health, that's nice, but if you get anti-archered, it's going to be by another longbow most of the time. Unit effects, shooting accuracy under cover fire. Cover fire is the ability where they kind of shoot where you are, is increased by 50%. That's nice. We'll get and see a bit of that in the video. Normal ammunition or Overwatch deals another 400 points of piercing damage to ranged infantry, basically more range damage. Don't really need it because they already one tap most range. Then we got steel spiked arrow, hitting a unit with normal ammo or Overwatch with reduced target move will reduce target movement by 25%. This effect doubles against cavalry. It also increased rate of fire by 30, lasting 10 seconds, 30% for 10 seconds. So it's pretty good against cavalry. That just keeps them nice and slow. And then wall of Agincourt, normal ammunition and Overwatch, hitting units consecutively within 5 seconds increases damage dealt from Vassal longbowmen by up to 40%. This effect doubles on cavalry. So these have become, obviously they're anti-range, but they've also become very long-range anti-cavalry, sort of. They hit cavalry pretty hard, so that's quite a bonus. So it's an okay master. I wouldn't say it's top tier, but it's okay. And then keep in mind with this, we've also gone into their tree here, and we've got every point. So we've got another 2% piercing 4 times, 5% of base value 4 times, more rate of fire, another 20% rate of fire, and then just another 3% piercing. So we've stacked them out pretty heavily. So yeah. Right, let's take a little look and see what these bad boys can do. Okay, so here we go. Into the first engagement. And obviously we're on Reginopolis. Funny enough, most of my good clips with these come from Reg. But they've just put the tower up, so we're laying down some fire. Not really sure if we have range there or melee, but you know, we're just trying to get some shots in. The main thing to do, especially when on defense, is obviously keep them moving and make sure you're looking out for trebs. Like my eyes right now are right in the distance. I'm looking at the mortars coming in. They obviously can't reach me, but they kind of like can trick you out to think they're trebs sometimes. But we're picking up some kills, moving back and forward, just waiting for them to come off of the siege tower. Sometimes with these guys, you'll want them to shoot somewhere, and they will just suddenly aim in a random direction and shoot. But that just happens, and sometimes it works in your favor, where they'll just lock onto someone that you can't actually see. Was just worried at trebs there, so obviously fast forwarded the bit where I was just hit them around the back, and now they're pushing up the tower pretty heavily. My guys were shooting in a random direction, but they're sort of locking on now. Incoming trebs, so we're just gonna move them over out the way, and that's the main thing. Obviously, focusing on trebs, you just people are going to be trying to dive these, treb them, do whatever. But we find our first range down there, and you can see the boys are starting to go red. That's the mastery kicking off, so they're going to start increasing their rate of fire, slowing the target, and increasing their damage. That's quite nice. Is it noticeable? Yes, in longer engagements you can see them really like starting to just pick up pace, especially when Cav's about. They really start getting some arrows out there. But is it necessary for killing range? I would say no, personally. Like, it's nice and it's good. You'll see them all start gaining little red glow on their hands, and that's obviously when their mastery is kicking off. But I think there's better things to put your mastery on. Like, longbows, in my opinion, are meant for, you bring out, you look at the list to see what the enemy has. They have a lot of range. You've got your longbows, you bring them out, you anti-range everything, and you put them away again. Where obviously in here we're just trying to shoot over everything because I'm just trying to get clips. So if I see range, that's great. But yeah, so we've just done our little bit there. We've had 28 kills, and we're now going to go put those away, and we'll head back into the game once I bring them back out. That is now. So obviously they pushed us back to C, and kind of wary of the gap here. I see an enemy hero. I want to ideally get them the other side of the opening there in the breach, but we will see if I can do it, just because I want to be able to rain arrows on the supply point a little bit. So I see these guys going out there. I'm like, right, opportunity, bring them by, and we'll get some, we'll see if we can get at the right angle to hit all those boys down there without hopefully getting trebbed. So they're a bit slow, is what I say about longbows. They're a bit slow. This mastery could have probably given them some sort of speed boost. I think the mastery is okay, but I think you could have imagined something slightly better. The anti-cav bit that we'll get to in this episode, I have a few clips of them kind of going up against cav, and they can slap cav pretty hard, but it's not really hard enough to stop them coming, depending if the cav is like tier 5. They're probably going to get you if they see you, but from a long distance you can take a few of them out, but I don't think it really makes a huge amount of difference compared to them unmastered, personally. I mean, it is good, as I said, it is good, and we start hitting these range right here. Obviously with range you tap them out one hit taps them out even without the mastery, so it's debatable. Obviously the short sword tries to jump them. We're going to just try and take them out. Luckily I had these boys here with me to help me take him down, so he didn't manage to belly flop my entire load, and he only got, what, 2 or 3 of them. But around here, I decide, oh, let's have a little look from this gap. Now the wall's obviously down, and they have so much range here. I take my my rain of arrows, and I start raining on them. That obviously bumps our kills up very quickly. We're doing some super high damage, and we clear out all their range in no time at all. But I don't want to wait around. I want to like get myself out of there, because one treb and we would have lost all of those longbows. I'm now looking at the ammunition. Ammunition's fine. Some are a bit low on health, but that doesn't really matter that much. So now I was going to take them back to the supply, but then I saw through this door here we had they've got some range at the back. I still got a good amount of these boys, so let's just place it at the back there and try and nail some of their range that will be probably heading through the door. That we're doing quite nicely. Just got to make sure we're in the right position to get all of the most of the arrows even through the gap, and actually we managed to land on a nice bit of range as soon as the sort of melee front line gets through. The range sits there, and we start absolutely nailing up the kills. That's nice, but obviously you are going to anchor some people with longbows, your team and the enemy team, so they're going to do their best to dive on them. So this Maul does a great job of just diving our range, and he leaves me with basically none left, so that kind of spells the end for this clip. But you know, 100 and something kills, that's not half bad. And then on this clip, this is just a weird angle with this map. I was trying to find a decent angle. The other team had a kind of notorious longbow player who's really great at killing enemy range, and unfortunately he was in the other team, so I decided, well, it was giving me a bit of paranoia. Suddenly we landed a volley, obviously on some rattans or something that totally put us straight up to 52 kills, so that was a insanely good landing volley. But the damage, these damage the boys put out once their mastery's popping off, even on things that isn't ranged, is pretty high. Especially if they hit them in the back, we're going to like 3,700 or so. I mean, we're landing it here and there. I'm just trying to kind of like keep some damage hitting the point. Obviously, the argument to be said with longbows is, do you think it's worth it? And I think some of the time, if you play them right, not like this, if you play them just to kill enemy range and then put them away, I think they have their place. But the problem is with longbows is you get a lot of people that will just sit with them like I'm doing right here, and you'd probably benefit more with the hero in the battle with some melee, you know, some men-at-arms, sealer dars, some phalanx, you know, that sort of thing, where at this current point we are taking out some units, but ourselves, we're not in the battle. That and if we were to leave these guys, you know, they would be dead within seconds. Someone would find them. If we tried to go and get ourselves involved in the battle, they'd be gone. And obviously, trying to get clips, I kind of have to stay and protect them. So yeah, it's not always the funnest video to make with longbows, but you know, their mastery's kicking off now. We're finding a place. Get a bit freaked out about the arrows coming in. I think they're from an Imperial potentially. Don't think they were longbows, because if we got anti-longbow, we would have lost a lot of units, not just one in that point there. So I go back to my original location, bring them all back, and we go for another little volley and see what we can clear off the point, see if we can land some shots. And funny enough, they are shooting kind of in the right place where I want to go, but as I said, they've sort of got a mind of their own. They'll know what's there and they'll lock onto it. Sometimes it ends up being in a bit of the wrong place. This dual blades goes for the jump on them, doesn't manage to kill any of them, just gets 2 to low health. On heroes, they do a lot of damage. If they can draw their strings and the hero stands still for a second, and these guys hit, instant death. Well, not instant death with the rune that's currently out, but if that rune's gone by the time you see this video, then it is instant death. But yeah, so in terms of the mastery, am I going to keep it on these guys, or am I going to reset it? I'm probably going to reset it. Don't get me wrong, I like longbows, but yeah, they do the use that I need them for without the mastery. But here's a bit of cav, so I'm popping out with the rain of arrows starting off there, and this is using them a bit more close quartered and sort of keeping it keeping it very close quarters, and obviously trying to hit cav and getting attacked by a few men-at-arms and heroes at the time. So obviously this is danger close, but the boys, the mastery's kicking off. You see that they got their glowy hands going again. We're hitting the cav, and we're hitting it for okay. That's tier 5. We're hitting it pretty hard. See these men-at-arms, I decide, right, pop these right back there. He makes a great move of charging. Probably should have waited with that. Hit them with a great thunderbolt, and then hit them again with a throw just to slow them up. And then I put them here. I see cav coming by. Click V just to get them to fire. And they hit it pretty hard. But I think that's only scout cav, to be fair, so it's got very little health. But, you know, a lot of damage there. Good little run away from that men-at-arms, and I think most of that men-at-arms got taken out by other people. But yeah, as an anti-cav, I mean, if they're on a point and you can land a full volley on them, you will do a lot of damage and make that hero move. Like here, we've got some YOLO cav coming through, and it's taken a bit of damage, but I wouldn't say it was game-changing with this mastery, to be honest. But you know, if you've got spare mastery points, then I would do it. And if you really like using longbows, then great. It just makes them better longbows. But if you just use them for anti-range and you just pull them out to anti-range, this won't make any difference. You get no extra range or anything like that. You get a slight bit more damage, but you know, they're shooting at range. They'll kill it in one shot anyway. So without the mastery is my sort of synopsis of this. But in this clip, just obviously taking out the range at the back, and just kind of shows how quickly you can pick up kills if you aim at the back with these guys and pick up the range. We gone from having like what 30 kills, 30 kills, and now we're up to 50 just pretty quickly with just having them shoot at the range at the back and leading on to a win. So that is it, gentlemen. So in conclusion, what do I think? of the longbow mastery. I think, as I said, if you like using longbows and it's kind of in your warband half the time, then yes, use it, get the mastery. It's beneficial. It does something. But for the amount it costs to put that in, and the other units you could put your mastery points in, I would say it's not for me. Personally, I think they do good without it if you're just going to use them for anti-range. So yeah, I think it's slightly unnecessary if that's the only use you're going to use them for. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate the sub. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.